So today I'm going to use a new technique that I have begun to use more frequently recently, and I'm calling it Primelighting. A couple of my friends helped me discover that name. So that's the name. It involves priming the miniature, in this case in brown, and then effectively just highlighting the colors on top of that. So we're going to give it a go on this Obliterator, and we're going to do him as Emperor's Children colors. We're going to do him super pink today. I know some Emperor's Children can be purple, some can be pink, whatever. We're going super pink today. So we're just going to see how this works out. It might work out terribly, but it might work out great. We shall have to see. So I'm just going to start with some very appropriate Fulgrim pink. And I'm going to put this all over his armor, but making sure to not cover up all of the brown primer, leaving some of it in the corners and stuff like that. We'll probably need a couple coats of this, because this paint is not meant for actual coverage, it's meant for highlighting, but that's okay. And because he's an Emperor's Children, we're going to do him pretty gaudy today, because they weren't exactly known for their reserved style. So we're going to do him in pink, probably some gold, maybe some neon green. We'll have to see. But for now, I'm just doing Fulgrim pink all over the areas of the armor. And like I said, we'll have to come back and do a second coat in a second. That's okay. We'll get there. This is the first 40K model I've tried this technique on. I've done it on, well, recently I've done it on some Vikings on Wednesday's stream. And last night I tested it out on a Ogre for Age of Sigmar. This guy right here, it came out pretty well. So we're going to see if it works for 40K stuff. Just gonna... And right now this Emperor's Children looks super messy. But that's okay. We're going to come back and we're going to make it look better. Don't you worry. Wow, on camera this Emperor's Children is almost reading as white. That's crazy. It's much pinker in person. But I guess the pitfalls of hoping that your camera will read exactly what you are putting down. We might have to pinkify it a little bit to get it to show up on camera. But we shall see. And there is an argument to be made here that you would want to do, even doing this Primelighting style, that you'd want to put a layer down first under the pink, between the pink and the brown. But I'm only streaming for an hour. That seems like it would take a lot of time. Yay, Emperor's Children and more heresy. Is that asking for more heresy? Or stating that there's more heresy? I don't think I can supply you with any more heresy. This is about as much heresy as can be achieved at this current moment. I don't think I have a Dark Angel in reach, unfortunately. Well, I have a World Eater. There you go. If you're asking for more heresy, there's more heresy for you. If you're stating that this is more heresy, well, tough. Now you have more heresy on top of your more heresy. Just making sure to get all this guy's armor panels. He does have a lot of them. I assume at some point or another this guy was an actual Space Marine. Or maybe not. I actually don't know the lore behind Obliterators, so I don't know how they come into being. I assume they're just a Space Marine that's all coked up on, in this case, Slaanesh. But I could be wrong about that. The heresy train never stops. 'Twas a statement. Well, You statemented, and I took it as a demand, and now look what you did. We got double the heresy. Just gonna make sure to get all these armor plates. I mentioned, I think in episode 3 or 4, that when you're going for speed, often things can change colors. If you forget to paint something a certain color, you can just change it on the fly. But Space Marine armor panels are kind of an exception to that rule, because it's rare for an armor panel to be a different color, especially on one guy. These guys, I was about to say there better be a Dark Angel somewhere. I mean, there are plenty somewhere, just not handy. Just not handy. I sort of packed them away and forgot they existed with their trash 8th edition rules. But you never know. They might see a comeback. Their 9th edition chapter tactic is definitely better. I still don't understand why a chapter focused on Terminators and Bikers has a chapter tactic that interacts with non-moving units. But that's a discussion for another day. That's going to be, assuming this goes on and I keep doing this, the April Fool's episode is going to be no painting, me just sitting ranting about the Dark Angel rules. And if I had to guess, just as like a troll, that would probably be the most viewed episode. Alrighty, we're almost done with his armor panels here. Just a couple more to do. And honestly, because this pink is not coating as nice as I would like it to, we might have to do some cheats here in a second. And cheats are always fun. But this painting style does definitely lend itself to cheating, though. Because, I mean, it feels like cheating when you do it. Because you're not even covering every bit of the model. It's just like leaving bits unpainted, which seems terrible. It seems like a horrible idea. Why not just paint him green since he's a traitor and all? Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Thankfully, my Dark Angels are black. The correct color. None of this remembering the trees BS. We had black armor when the lion was the leader, and that's the color we should be. Had a hard time with my Fulgrim pink. Well, we'll see if I fare any better. It is meant as I think it's a layer paint now because I think they've scrapped the edge line, but it was originally meant as an edge paint, which was which is what this bottle still says on it, which was meant a line of paint specifically released for edge highlighting. So I think it was a little thinner, and they were specifically very pastel-y. I don't know if pastel-y is a word, but whatever. And so it would make sense that if they just kept the formula and stuck it in a bottle that says layer, that it would not be good at covering. But there are some ways to cheat out some coverage that we can possibly do. But first, I'm going to get this last armor panel here. Diddle-a-doop. Done. Alright, good. That's pink on all the armor panels at least. We'll come back to it in a minute. Now I'm going to do the trim. Get this World Eater out of here. So for the trim, I'm going to do Retributor armor. And rants tend to be popular. Yeah, that's all it would be, is me ranting about the Dark Angels. I'm going to use Retributor armor for the trim. I don't remember where my train of thought was going, but yeah, I'm going to use Retributor armor. Done. I'm just going to cover all these trim areas, making sure that there's some brown in between the trim and the pink. And because you don't need perfect coverage with this technique, you can go pretty quick and not have to worry too much about exactly covering everything you need to. Just gonna do that real quick. I'm noticing that this model has some crazy amount of detail on him. He's got tentacles wrapped around his leg pistons and all sorts of stuff. Might be a challenge to get this guy done in an hour, but I think we can push ourselves and get there. Probably going to do that tongue in a different color, so I won't paint that gold just yet. A shared color with the main Trader Legion? Coincidence? I think not. Well, we were the first Legion, so they took it from us. Can't do anything about that. There's his legs done. Now I'm going to do this monstrosity on his face. Whatever this is, good lord. I'm not entirely sure what's supposed to be trim and what's supposed to be face and armor and God knows what, but I'm going to basically do everything except the teeth. Teeth are one of the things that lend this technique a lot of efficacy, because they're often raised and by themselves, unless they're modeled on a line, which is rare. At least on GW figures, you either get individual teeth or you don't get teeth at all. So they take this technique really well. Shoulders here. Lore wise, who chose the Legion colors? So that's a good question. I don't know for many of the Legions. The only one I know is the Dark Angels, I believe, were black originally to mourn the loss of their Primarch, or the fact that they didn't have one. As far as I know. And then they changed to green after Caliban was destroyed, as in remembrance of the great forests of Caliban. As far as the other ones, though, the reason the color changed, I don't know. If I had to guess, the World Eaters changed because they devoted themselves to the Blood God. And red is the color of blood. That's a complete guess, though. I do not know for sure. As far as I know, they were... because they were known as the somethings. I can't remember what they were. They had a previous name. And then when they found good old Angry Ron... Wait, Angry Ron? Not Angry Ron. Yeah, Angry Ron. When they found Angry Ron, he changed their name to the World Eaters, or they changed their name to the World Eaters. But I don't think the color change happened at the same time. But I could be wrong about that. I'm not a very good source for specifics of the Heresy lore. I can give you like main events, things like that, but for specifics, you're going to want to talk to Mr. Matt Powell. He seems to be able to hold the entire heresy in his brain at any given time. Let's do this. Almost done with the gold trim here. And I think I'm going to move on to the skin. Actually, we might come back to the pink. I think that's what we'll do. See if we can get that pink to look good. Because currently, it looks like a mess. I did a test of this pink over this brown earlier today, and it seemed to cover just fine, so either I got lucky in that test or I'm getting unlucky now. Oh, the original color choices. Yeah, probably the Emperor. Or some other entity on Terra. It's also possible that all the Space Marines were the same color. And then as they differentiated themselves, they changed to a color that was... So, like, for instance, the World Eaters may have just also been black. And then once they decided that they were going to be, like, differentiated, then they switched to the white and blue. And then they switched to the red even later. But I don't know if that's the case. Seems like a plausible idea, though. Who knows? It could have been, like, the Emperor's favorite colors, based on which son spoke to him about that color or something. I have no idea. All I know is black's the best. The Dark Angels should never have swapped. It's kind of silly also because they switched to green to remember the trees of Caliban. The trees of Caliban were all cut down before, like, long before it got destroyed. The first scene of the Space Marines showing up on Caliban involves giant machines cutting down a bunch of the trees to make room for, like, Space Marine HQ, basically. So, you know, like, they were already gone before the planet got destroyed. But, you know, whatever. Maybe they kept a couple, and then when the planet was destroyed, they were all gone. Just highlighting this guy's diaper, and then his leg here. And then I think that's the end of the gold trim. Just going to get all that in there. I think that's all of the trim. Nope. The front of his diaper. How could I forget? Alright. Now we're going to come back to the pink. And I'm going to use an actual layer paint. In this case, Pink Horror. Although I feel like... Well... No, I am going to go with Pink Horror. And then I'm gonna put this in the middle of each of these pink sections. Close my gold. And then I'm going to come back with the original pink again and cover it back up. We'll see how that works. It's either going to eventually work, or this is going to be an hour of me failing to make pink work, which could be equally entertaining, especially if I'm confident about every step, and then every step it just doesn't work even more. fill that in. Fill in these little bits here. After this step, I'll let this dry, and I think I'll do his skin. So that's one of the bigger components on him now. I think I'm going to go with a sort of pale gray color for the skin. And then maybe a green on top of that or something. We'll see. I also might just leave this pink like this. This pink is actually not a terrible color. Too much pink in there, just wipe it off. Yeah, now that I'm looking at it, I think this is going to stay this color, pink. Actually. I like it a lot in all caps. Well, in that case. I enjoy when I see people pop into the chat as, like, it gives me the so-and-so is watching. And, like, I know they're a really good painter. And they're probably looking at this stuff thinking, like, oh my god, is this guy drunk? Like, what is this even? This is not a valid way to paint. Why is he showing people this? But, as long as they keep it to themselves, you know, it's all good. Or if they violently defend the fact that I'm an idiot and need to stop teaching people bad techniques, then that's fine too. I think it's coming out pretty okay though. So I'm going to do the skin now. And now that we've switched to the darker pink, I'm definitely going to do a light gray on the skin. What primer is that? This is Rust-Oleum Brown. No fancy name. I tried to call it chestnut the other day, but it is just Rust-Oleum Brown. Nothing fancy. But you could use any brown primer. It's not a big deal. So I'm gonna use a gray for this, and I didn't say what gray it was. So we're just gonna see. Guy Massey in the chat is the one who records all my colors for me, so I can edit them in for the YouTube video. We're just going to see what he puts. I'm not even going to tell him what color it was. We're just going to see what he ends up with. So again, with this gray, I'm just painting the tops of everything, leaving the brown underneath to be our shadow. These leg muscles. Muscles is where another place where this technique can work out really well, because there's clear defined differences in areas of muscle. So I think this is why this technique will probably work better on more organic things, like the ogre I showed earlier, that have more opportunity for skin and stuff on them. But we'll see how this comes out at the end. You never know. You never know until you try. And if you never try, You're going to lose those 10 points. And nobody wants that. Well, your opponent, I guess, but... Let's get his other foot here. And then just look for other pieces of muscle sort of hanging about. There's one here. There's one there. There's one here. I think I'm not going to do this like fleshy cable in this color. I think I'll leave that for a different color. But I am going to do all this stuff up around the gun in this color. I think this is pockets of skin or something up here. Yep, that idea to not do this cable paid off because they are clearly two different things right there. So to do them in the same color would be strange. This guy is, you know, a lot of the time you can tell, obviously, like, very clearly what parts of a miniature are what. This guy, he is just an amalgamation of stuff. Like, some stuff is like, what is that? Is that a piece of metal? Is that a piece of fabric? Is it a piece of skin? Like, what is going on? Alrighty. So that's going to do it for the skin as soon as I do that muscle right there. That's going to do it for the skin. He's looking pretty okay, I think, anyway. So I'm going to do... I think I'm going to do the teeth now. And I'm also going to do any eyeballs or tentacles and things in the same color, knowing that I can come back and highlight them with a different color later. First, I'm just going to do the teeth. Get all these teeth around his face. I guess, I don't know, maybe they're not teeth. Whatever they are, the pointy things look like teeth to me. So today they're going to be teeth. I think that's going to be, I don't know, his hand. We're going to have to come back to his hand. Think about that. So I'm going to do the tongue, top of the tongue in this color also. And I'm going to come back and get it with something else. This tentacle, I'm going to grab that. It's going to be black. There's what I'm going to call an eyeball right there. Just searching some horns here. Horns and teeth are the same thing in my book when it comes to painting them in this style. Oh, and I skipped a color again. This is Wraithbone that I'm using. Any off-white. Gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna do his nails. I originally did them in gray, but I'm coming back. I'm doing them in off-white. Just making sure to leave that brown sticking through. Okay. And then we have all this amalgamation in here. So that looks like a tooth. That looks like a tooth. Just kind of touching with the brush anything that vaguely resembles a tooth. The rest will get figured out for us by the brain. I'm going to do his spinal column in this color because I think that makes sense. Other side. Good. Think. Oh, no, there's a horn right here. Grab that. And then there's some eyeballs somewhere. I saw them, but now I don't know where I saw them. I was gonna do them. Oh, there's a tentacle there. I'll do that real quick. Could have. Oh, they're on his front. I remember now. I'm gonna get them in this color also. Yeah, they're right in here. So I'm just gonna put some color in the middle of those eyeballs. Just the two. Oh, no, a little mini third one right there. We're going to do his eyeball specifically after this. And I'm going to switch colors now. I think I'm going to do the black. For that, I'm going to use Corvus Black. It's a little bit of an off black, not a pure black. And I'm specifically not going to use this pot because it's dried out. I'm going to use the other Corvus Black. Same color, different pot. Just going to check the time also. Oh, 34. We are cruising. Excellent. So the black, this black I'm just going to use on all the bits of his armor that are sort of underneath other armor. So that'll be this part here. And as I said in the stream on Wednesday, while you're correct, it does not make sense for a lighter color to be the shadow of a color. Hopefully, this works out that our brain will trick us into thinking that it'll see a dark and a light color. And with the rest of the piece looking like it is, it will trick us into thinking it's seeing a correctly highlighted and shaded model without having to put a darker color in the quote-unquote shadow areas of this miniature, or of this color rather. And on some miniatures it'll work and some it won't, but I think it'll work on this guy. I'm just gonna get all this cabling is gonna be black also. I'm gonna not do the little internal parts there. This little like ridgy area, not going to do those. Just the casing itself. good. I'm going to do a couple of wires in here in this color, just to mix it up a little bit. I'm going to do these, whatever these are, I'm not really sure what they are, but they're going to be this color. And I'm going to do his head in this color. We're going to come back with silver pretty heavily here, so in this case I'm going to cover almost all the brown on his head. And then we'll come back with a silver. Alright, just looking for other stuff to be black. This other cable needs to be black. And it looks like I need to put some gray on this arm. I sort of missed that on the first pass, it seems. All right. Think that about does it. See a couple spots I missed of a couple colors, so I'm going to go back and do those now. Going back to my gray that I didn't tell Guy about, but I will tell him this time. Administratum gray, yep. Just going to do this arm. The muscles of this arm that I forgot about the first time. Okay, that'll do. Yep, that can be silver. So now I'm going to come back and I'm going to do some gold in a couple places I see I missed. This is the same gold as before, Retributor armor. Grab up here. And this highlight, or this banding up here at the top. Okay. That looks good. Just double checking that we don't need it anywhere else. That's correct, we do not. So now I'm going to come back and do some more pink. Again, is pink horror. I'm going to do this top armor panel up here. And then I'm just going to go over a couple of the other armor panels. Make the pink pop a little bit more. Just make sure we have a nice coat of it down. Okay. That'll do. Then I'm going to go into the silver, and for this I'm going to use Iron Breaker. Normally you might want to use a darker silver on a model like this, but because of the technique we're using with the brown underneath, the silver is going to, this lighter silver is going to work really well for us. I'm just going to get almost everything else that doesn't have a color on it at this point is going to be silver. Just looking around to see what else needs to have paint on it. I know there's tons of stuff over here on this other arm. I was just checking before I go over there though. Again, leaving some of the brown between each part of the silver. Anything else that happens to touch. what you guys are talking about in the comments, but yeah, go for it. Sounds good. Just gonna get this flamer thing here, flamer nozzle, I guess. Just getting silver all up in here. Back of his arm also. Okay. Then we just have his back pistons here, and then his guns. And then we're going to move into one of the more fun colors. Going to do a pale green, or a bright fluorescent green in some places. Partially as an excuse to use the new paint, because I still don't exactly have it down yet, so I try to use it in as many projects as I can until I sort of understand how the paint works. And also I think it'll look cool with the pink. I might be wrong, but we'll see. As Bob Ross would say, there's no such thing as a mistake. So if it looks terrible, well, it looks terrible. You can always fix it. His belt up here. Get the rest of the piston. I forgot about this arm, so we're almost done with the silver at this point. Okay. Now we've got these parts in here. Get his gun fully painted. The bullets are also like the teeth, a great place to show off this technique, because they are usually raised up, so they give a really nice, easy way to accentuate the shadows. Alrighty, and the same with the barrels of this gun here. They're going to do the same thing. And if I'm careful, I can just use the side of the brush here and go straight over these indentations. Yep. And then just like that, they're done. Same thing on the front here. Just be careful. A little too much paint. And boom. Get them all at once. And then we're just going to go down the line of each barrel. Oh, didn't go far enough on that one. 1, 2, 3, flip him over. 4. Fix number 3. 5. And 6. Just make sure we get the bottoms of that there. There's a little too much brown in this section here. Just going to thicken up my silver. Alrighty, now we're going to go to that bright green I was talking about, and I'm going to use the Tesseract Glow for this. This is the brand new color from Citadel, and I'm going to put it on this tentacle right here, these eyeballs right here, this tongue down here, this eyeball thing here. A little too much on that eyeball right there. There we go. And then flip them over, and I'm going to do this tentacle here. Alrighty. And I think that'll be it for the green. Yep, it will. So now I'm going to grab a bronze color. In this case, Brass Scorpion. And I'm just going to go over either places I didn't do in silver, or if there's a little too much silver next to each other, I'm going to just highlight some of the silver with this color. I'm also, let's see, I'm going to do these in this color. I'm going to do all the internal parts of these cables in this color, as well as this cable down here at the bottom. Let's see what else needs to be this color. Get the other internals. Just like that. There's an internal wire right there. I think that should be good. No, you know what? I'm going to do something, this ring on the gun here. That's going to be bronze. Okay. And that should do, to be honest. That will get us a good chunk of where we need to be. I think what this miniature is missing is a blue of some sort. It needs a cool color, or maybe exactly a blue or something. So I'm going to add in a little bit of blue in a couple places. First thing first, I'm going to do his eyeball. I'm just going to use some Wraithbone and paint his eyeball first, and then we'll come back and put some shade on that. Also going to do the eyeballs of the skull on his pad here. Just like that. And then I think we'll add some bluing to the flamer, and then we'll call it a day. So, for the bluing of the flamer, I'll do that first while this stuff dries. I'm going to use a little bit of Tesseract Blue contrast paint, as well as some Magos Purple contrast paint. We're going to use these sort of in conjunction with each other. We're going to make it look as if the flamer has been activated a time or two, and so is has scorched the end of the flamer. So I'm going to do this with first, and I start with the Tesseract Blue. I am having them both open, as you see. Maybe not the greatest idea, but... So I'll start with the Tesseract Blue, and I'm just going to put it right on the edge. It's going to be very overpowering at first, but that's okay. Just going to do this. Get it all up on here. I'm going to rinse my brush. I'm going to leave my brush kind of wet. I'm going to grab the Magos Purple, and I'm going to put it straight on where the blue already is, and just drag it this way. Do the same thing on this side with the purple, and just drag it that way. I'm going to rinse my brush off again, get some more of the purple, and do the same thing. Just drag this blue sort of that way. And eventually, if you were to work this long enough, you would get a nice sort of flamer has been turned on and scorched the end of this thing. I'm not necessarily going to go all the way to the ends of the earth on this technique, but I think just a little bit can help sell that effect pretty easily. There's a little bit more purple. I'm also going to do it on the end of this gun up here. This time I'm going to start with the purple, do it the opposite way, just to show that it can be done both ways. Just sort of slather it all over everything. Rinse the brush, and then take a tiny little bit of blue. Tiny little bit of blue. Wipe most of it off. And then just feather through this purple. And that will get us a nice heated look there. Now, I'm going to go in with my other blue, which I have lost. There it is. Ultramarine blue. And those two eyeball spots that we painted with the Wraithbone. Just going to go in and color them with this contrast paint. Just to give it something. And then I think the final, very, very final color will be some Vampiric Highlight from Reaper. Just going to put a little dab on a palette here. And then making sure my paintbrush is as skinny as it can be, or tight as it can be at the tip. Just going to put a little dot in each one of these eyeballs. Like that. Like that. And like that. It's pretty difficult to see on screen, but they are there. Man, it does not want to focus today. Oh, anyway. So I think that about wraps it up. This technique is not for everyone, I will admit. Especially up close, this technique can look incredibly rough and, like, honestly, like, what are you doing even? But for, let's see how long that take. For 55 minutes. And I was talking, I think if you put 9 of these on a table, no one would bat an eye. So yeah, but like I said, it's not for everyone. It does, you can definitely get better results better in other ways. But if you just want to knock an army out quickly, I think this is a great technique. Like I said, I think it works better on organic stuff, like this ogre. It works on his skin because he's got all these defined muscles and everything. But I think it worked pretty okay. But anyway, that's all for today. I will be back on Monday for episode 10 of Straight from the Pot, double digits. Woo! I'm digging how the pink turned out. Thank you. I think it turned out pretty okay. But yeah, I'll be back on Monday. Double digit stream. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.